Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Marissa Vent and I am a homeschooling mama of 6. So 5 of my children are all within 14 to 15 months apart, and so our homeschool days are very busy, and I like to combine things whenever I can. So if you have a preschooler or a child who is even less than 6 years old, today I'm going to be sharing how I homeschool my own preschoolers, specifically my son Lucius. He is 3 years old. I do have a 4-year-old, but for the purpose of this video, I am focusing on what I'm doing with my 3-year-old. So first thing in the morning, we always do our morning time, and that consists of Bible read aloud. We do scripture memory. I do follow the Charlotte Mason method for our scripture memory. While I don't make my preschooler recite or memorize anything, I do ask him as best as he can to sit with us as a family as we go through our morning time. And now we are going into our artist study. So this is the very first picture that we are studying from James Whistler. He is a new artist for us, and my 3-year-old really wanted to have a turn describing what he saw, and his answers were very, very funny. I wish I could have caught them on camera, but I stuffed up the settings for some reason, so there's no sound. This is the picture that we were studying today, and he actually really enjoyed it. I will say this is the first time where he has wanted to do this. Every preschooler is different, and honestly, about 3 out of 5 days a week, my 3-year-old just wants to play and run around and make a mark. Something that he is really loving lately, and I was not expecting this though, is handwriting. So these are not actually his books. This is my 4 and 5-year-old's handwriting books. They are just wipe and erase books from Kmart, but he surprised me last week when he found interest in them, and he's actually very focused and is enjoying his handwriting. So I took the opportunity in his interest, and I have just been telling him what the letters sound like, what they are called, as he writes them down. Now, I don't know what your preschoolers are like with the handwriting, but I really wasn't expecting him to be this good, because he is quite a rough, he's a boy, he's a very typical boy, and so when he could sit there and actually wanted to do his handwriting and be really focused, it was really surprising. Our kids will surprise us all the time. Awesome. In 30 minutes, incorrect. In 1 hour, it's 8:30. Okay. And it's time, what's the time? In 30 minutes, 9 a.m. p.m. One thing I will point out with any of my kids who are under 6 years old, if they have a bad attitude or they are just not feeling it, I will never force them to sit there and do any sort of work. Sometimes I do make them sit down with me and do read alouds, but other than that, as long as they are hearing me read aloud sometimes and playing throughout the day and getting outside, that is their school, and that is all that is important to me. They have really found joy in listening to the good and the beautiful letter sounds. So this is in their homeschool app. They do have an app which has like songs for each letter, and this is how my kids have learnt their letter names and their songs, and my preschoolers really enjoy this part of their day. Good. Alright, let's do my body. We are soon going to move into our social studies activity for the day, but before I start our social studies, I always do a read aloud with the kids. And so this week it has been all about our body. Of course, this is good for kids of any age in primary school, but we just read a book together. It was an Open the Flaps book, so little kids love that. And we just talked about our 5 senses, and I do think that my 3-year-old probably enjoyed it the most. There are plenty of tantrums and interruptions throughout the day. I find that when it comes to our preschoolers, the most time-consuming thing is simple child training as opposed to academics. This is the age that I really try to nail in their character, such as telling the truth and tidying up after themselves, using their manners and having respect. That is my main focus for my children who are 5 years old and under. So I am also doing another read aloud. This is where I read our literature book, and we do that while they eat their lunch. It's the best, easiest way to get my kids to actually sit down and listen and not get bored and start making trouble. And then we got into our social studies activities. So we're actually catching up on a previous day's work as well. So to start with, we did do our My Body activity. I drew out a body on paper. The kids got to glue different organs onto the body. I did get my preschoolers to do this because cutting and pasting is more their thing. For the finer cutting and pasting, I did leave up to my older 2 who are 7 and nearly 6 years old. So they got to do the cutting out for our next lesson, but my 3 and 4-year-old got to glue and cut out the organs for the body. Lungs, that's how you breathe, okay? Now, our lungs go here. I don't know if I have pointed this out yet, but unless it is language arts, math, or piano lessons, I try my best to combine our lessons together as a family, and I have just found that this is the most efficient, easy way to keep not only my kids engaged, but to get the lessons done at a reasonable time. I know that a lot of homeschoolers say that they can get school done within a couple of hours. I 100% agree, but I do find that the only way that this is going to be possible if you have multiple children, especially when they're very young and they can't read for themselves, having combined family unit studies is the way to go. I could not do it if I was doing everything individually, especially starting with a 3-year-old. This is very easy to do. I simply split up the task, things that are more advanced for the older kids, and then my younger preschoolers who are 4 and 3, they do actually do their language arts and math together. My 3-year-old kind of has no idea what's happening. He is slowly picking up on certain things. My 4-year-old here, Aurelie, she is super smart, but same sort of thing. I just do their language art and math together. I do get my 5-year-old to jump in too. However, I have started her on her individual math level K from the Good and the Beautiful unit because I have found that everything was just way too easy for her. It just wasn't challenging her in any way. So she has her own curriculum now, and then my 4 and 3-year-old just do group things that are super simple and super fun. So here we're doing math as a group. We were learning about data and collecting information. So there's a super simple graph here. We surveyed what our favorite healthy foods were, which interlinked the theme of healthy foods on a plate. That's what you guys would have seen the kids cutting out before. I did have one of you guys ask me on my other channel how to preschool our children, and honestly most of it is very natural. Things like counting to 60 when you brush their teeth, or tying their shoelaces and singing the ABC song together. Things that are very natural is basically all you need to do when they are of preschool age, especially when it comes to math. I have never intentionally taught my children how to count to 10. They just somehow know it by the time we start Kindy. I would focus on their ABCs because that is something that my kids do take a little while to learn. Of course, Lucius did not understand the concept of the table, but he did understand that the 3 tally marks meant 3 watermelon, which is how you start introducing math concepts anyway. So before we finished up school for the day, we did tidy up the kids' bedrooms, because throughout the day, while I am working one-on-one with each child, the kids are free to play, but it does mean that our house gets quite trashed. And so Lucius came into his room and I did help him tidy up. And guys, it is so good for their confidence. He feels so proud when he achieves things, even things as small as picking up the Lego, because Lego is, it's a lot to do for such a little boy. And so we tidied up the room together, and then we enjoyed the rest of the afternoon on the couch watching TV. The kids got to play outside with their daddy, and it's just such a lovely time. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more. Don't forget to download my free curriculum guide in the description box, and I will see you guys next time.